Welcome back to ESPR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Danny. We've just witnessed Gervonta Davis stopping Ryan Garcia in the seventh round. Not convinced that was worth staying up until 5 a.m. for Danny. Just give us your immediate thoughts to that fight.
It was brewing into a decent watch. Obviously the knockdown in round two was like a bit of like a whoa moment, sort of shook me up from my seat. But just as it seemed like it was starting to catch fire, it ends in a really anticlimactic way, which I'm sure we'll discuss the ending in detail. But like, fair play to Tank Davis. He was sort of, you would say, in control for maybe 80, 85, 90% of the fight. And even the parts he wasn't particularly, struggling in. But for all the build up, for like the hype the fight's got, and rightly so, it was a big fight. Left wanting a bit more personally.
Yeah, I was just saying to you off camera, I think Gervonta Davis was winning the fight. I think most people would agree Davis would have gone on to win that fight. If you'd asked people at the end of round 6, I think most people would have gone for Davis, whether it be by stoppage or I actually thought there was a chance the way the fight was going, I thought there was a chance the fight was going to go the full 12 rounds personally, with Davis winning quite convincingly. However, I thought Ryan Garcia, I think he had some good moments in nearly all of the rounds, to be honest. I know he got knocked down in the second. So I think he did well to recover from that, to be honest. But yeah, just tell me your thoughts on the stoppage, because it looks like Garcia, it looked like he just kind of quit and just thought he maybe had enough there. What's your reading of it?
That's exactly my reading of it, mate. I was really confused at the time because the angle that the broadcast was showing, you couldn't see what shot landed. I thought maybe he had rolled his ankle or broken a bone in his hand or something the way he went down. And then it became sort of quite clear it was a body shot, which I was surprised. And then done the count, and he's not like writhing in pain. Like you see people get hit with body shots, and I know it was delayed reaction, so like I'm no expert, maybe slightly different, but he didn't have the facial reaction of fighters I've seen in the past who've been stopped by body shots, far from it. And then I couldn't see this count. I was getting 7, 8, 9. He's not getting up here. And then as soon as the ref waves it up, he stands up like it's nothing. Stands up easily. It's not as if he physically couldn't stand up. He didn't try to stand up. Like, fact, did not try to stand up, didn't try to get up, and then just walks into his corner over to Joe Goosen, like as if he's just like, I've been more disappointed like losing bets than he looked to pack in that fight. Like, I'm sorry. And look, I'm not necessarily criticizing him for doing it. I'm not a fighter. Like, look, if you think your health's in danger or whatever, but the biggest fight of your career, to go out like that after all this, I think he quit. I don't see how there's any argument. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say you can't give props to Gervonta Davis, because he put on a bit of a clinic at times in there. Completely took Garcia's left hook away from him. Made him. He landed a few right hands, Garcia, but didn't seem to have much effect. And it was, clinical from Davis, I think, as I say, is the word. But I'm left just, I don't see how you can put it to me that he didn't quit there. What do you think?
Yeah, I was really surprised, mate. You don't expect someone at the highest level to go out like that. I'd understand it if he was taking a real battering, if he'd been knocked down 3 or 4 times, if it was late in the fight and he was clearly going to be down. But what surprised me about it is that he's quit when actually I thought he was doing quite well. I think that some judges could have had it fairly even. I'm sure we'll find out in the next few minutes what the judges' scorecards were like. But yeah, I agree with you. I just think you can look, we're not body language experts, but I just feel like when you go down and it gets to 5, 6, you've got a decision to make. And it felt like he chose to not get up when he could have done. Maybe his thoughts are if he'd got up, he would have kind of got stopped in spectacular fashion, perhaps. But I just think Garcia, he's 24, obviously not lost before, not been in too many wars. He could have gone on, and I just think I'm disappointed, to be honest, because the fight had good parts, but was it a 5-star contest? Was it a fight of the year contender? No. Am I going to be kind of ranting and raving about it because I've stayed up to watch it with you? No offense. No, I'm not. I'm not. So disappointing. Disappointing. I've not really got anything else to say about the fight, to be honest. How about yourself?
Yeah, this feels like a bit of a wake or something, the atmosphere in this video. The one thing I would say, and this is like, again, there's no personal criticism directed at Ryan Garcia, it's just my honest opinion. A lot of the talk going into this fight was, look, no matter what here, they'll get praised for taking the fight. And that still stands. They get praised for taking the fight 100%. They didn't need to, both undefeated. And another thing was said, oh, there's no way the loser's stock won't go down from this. I think Ryan Garcia's stock will go down from that. Like, he was getting mad props coming to this for accepting the rehydration clause, the catch weight, being more like, he was a B-side in the fight, but he was being treated as far more of a B-side than he was, and was getting all the praise in the world from that. And I think if he had to get up there and, as you say, had to get stopped in brutal fashion, there would have been nowhere near the criticism that I think is going to come his way. And it's just, it's just sad, as you say, but
Yeah.
I honestly think his stock will go down from this. I can't see how it doesn't. There's one thing, people had a lot of criticisms of him. Technically, they maybe don't like his personality, they don't maybe rate him as a fighter, but I don't think anyone had ever criticised his heart before. We had nothing to suggest that, and that's going to hang over for him for the rest of his career. And I don't often agree with Tony Bellew. But I think he had it right on Twitter. If you do it once, you'll do it again. And this is going to be a cloud that I think hangs over Garcia for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I think we're on the same page here. I'm just going to read you out a quote that's come from the post-fight interview. Davis has said about regarding the KO, I thought he was going to get up, but I like to play mind games. So he looked at me and I was looking at him, trying to tell him to get up. Then he shook his head. That's what Gervonta Davis has said. And Ryan Garcia has said, he caught me with a good body shot and I just couldn't recover. I couldn't breathe. I just couldn't get up. I think reading Garcia's quote there, I think if you hadn't seen the fight, you'd probably read that and think, yeah, fair enough. I just think going back to the body language and what you said about as soon as kind of the referee got to 10, he kind of got up and walked back to his corner. It's hard to believe that. And I thought we're maybe being quite harsh here, but it's just being kind of honest. It's just kind of weird to say that he couldn't get up when actually he couldn't at the count of 10.
Mate, you have to call it as you say it. It does sound harsh, but I didn't see what he's describing there. Like, I don't know, we're going over in circles here. I didn't see someone who couldn't breathe and couldn't get up. You couldn't get up, but just as soon as the ref waves his hours, you can get up and walk off. Not for me, mate. Not for me.
Okay, quickly, we're going to talk about what's next. Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko is in 4 weeks' time. Haney's obviously the favourite in that fight. Do you believe that Gervonta Davis will fight the winner of that fight in the late summer, early autumn of this year?
I don't, mate, no. And it's not through Gervonta Davis not necessarily wanting to. I just think, again, if regardless of who comes, I know Haney will become a free agent potentially after this fight. If Lomachenko wins, obviously, with Top Rank, there'll be a lot of promotional barriers to overcome. Garcia's stock's going to have risen exponentially off the back of this. He's put in a good performance in the biggest fight of the year. And he was already, breaking gate records at arenas, fighting not, per opposition, but not marquee name opposition. And I think you're going to see a return of that for 2, 3, 4 fights with Garcia. Not bad fights necessarily, just not monster fights with Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, unfortunately, which is a shame because I think Garcia probably would fight Haney next. He said that's what he wanted to do next, and Haney even said he'd prefer Garcia to win because he thinks Garcia would be more likely a fight that gets made, but I don't think so, mate, unfortunately.
Fair enough. No, we shall see. We shall see. Final question for me, Danny, just on Ryan Garcia. Where do you think his future lies? Obviously, he came in at just half a pound over the lightweight limit for this fight. He's been fighting at super lightweight for his last couple of fights. I think it's fair to say that the bigger fights would be at lightweight. But yeah, where do you think he's going to be at for his next couple of fights?
I think he'll move up to 140, back up to 140, and sort of rebuild there. Maybe the Haney fight could happen then if Haney doesn't fight Davis and moves up after the Lomachenko fight. That's a fight that could happen, but I'm not sure, mate. I'm gonna stop myself because I'm gonna start laying into Ryan Garcia. And it's not by like I'm not in there with Tank Davis, so should try and keep a bit more professional. But I think he'll move up to 140. Start to rebuild. Maybe some mental work needs doing. Again, maybe not my place to say, but I don't think he'll be fighting at lightweight again or any catch weights.
Yeah, I think so. I personally would quite like to see him win a world title. If you consider he's not actually done that yet, and if you consider the likes of Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, obviously Lomachenko as well, the rest of those guys in that lightweight mix have all achieved that. I'd actually like to see Ryan Garcia win a legitimate world title.
You can
Regardless
make a case, mate, that he needs to have fights like the level just below that, though, because
yeah,
all right, Luke Campbell's his best win. But what did Luke Campbell have left really at that stage? Like, I'm not saying he was completely washed, but like Garcia doesn't even have wins against like the likes of like an Isaac Cruz, even that Hector Luis Garcia, who's a world champion, who Tank fought, doesn't even have wins at that level. Like, so maybe do that. Maybe that's a part of why the jump up to Davis was just too big a big a jump in levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a key thing there. The difference in resumes and experience were quite startling as well. Well, I think one thing with Garcia, he's only 24, he's got time on his side. So we'll see. Hopefully he kind of can bounce back and be in a really strong position in the next few months. Danny, it's late, so we will leave it there. Maybe not quite the spectacle we were hoping for, but yeah, we've stayed up for it nonetheless. I will speak to you soon, okay?
Thanks, mate. Cheers.